What's going on, everybody? It's your boy, Danny the Bull, back with another live stream here to talk about Veve and Omi, and always a lot of things to talk about. We're going to talk about the Omi price action, which has been up. We'll also talk about where I'm thinking it's going to be in the short term. Will it stay up, continue to move up? Where do we go from here? I'll be talking about Veve and Apple Vision Pro and giving my review of it. I got one, picked it up 2 days ago, got my Apple Vision Pro. I've had a couple days with it, not too much time, but I'll give you my initial thoughts on that, and along with what I'm thinking in terms of its integration with Veve and will it help Veve out. Also, going to talk about the new Disney announcement, which was just announced about 40 minutes ago, their new partnership with Fortnite that's very metaverse-y and its implications for Veve. So there's a lot to talk about, like always. Welcome to the stream. Let's see who we got up in here in the house. We got Mr. Planet Profit was first. What's good, Mr. Planet Profit? SoCal, Omi Homie. I've missed you, SoCal. I haven't seen you in the streams lately. I know you've been busy. He says, like, share, and ask a question. Yes, as always, light up the chat. Elmer Fudd in the house, new channel member. Thank you for supporting the channel. Welcome to the channel membership. There is a private Telegram you can join if you would like. You'll find it on the community page. If you can't find it, let me know, and I'll get you in. But thank you for your support. Thank you for becoming a channel member. Crazy Dan in the house. What's good? Yeah, I'm going to talk about this Disney Fortnite metaverse collab, which is interesting, and just give my initial thoughts on it because, like you guys, I just heard about it prior to coming on stream. Just read the tweet. I know Disney had their earnings today and did very well. Stock popped off of their earnings call. Matter of fact, the S&P hit a new all-time high today because a lot of big companies are reporting positive earnings. So I'd love to see the S&P 500 hitting new all-time highs. We'll soon see crypto hit new all-time highs a little later in the year, I believe. So all good. Good stuff. Jay Met in the house. What's good? Veve Marek in the house. What's going on? Ethan. Yeah, thanks. I try to stream. It's a little hard during the week, man. I got my cup of coffee here because I'm a little tired. I've been wanting to stream. My goal is to stream at least 2 times during the week. But I get sidetracked at work and consumed with things, and I get home and I'm tired. It doesn't always happen. But today I was determined. Ben Robinson, Omi up over 30% in the last 2 weeks. Yeah, and we're going to start with that. Season 3 OG in the house. We live. And Elon's funny. Disney sucks. I didn't see that. He's got a bone to pick with Disney. But yeah, let's start by talking about our homie, Omi. I got to pull up my screen. Give me a second. A little behind schedule here. Bear with me while I find the correct screen. Here it is. Let's share it. All right. So yeah, the Omi chart looking much better, right? Was at 008 today. That's a nice level of resistance. Historically, if you look at the chart, this is a level of resistance, right? That 008 area. So I think once you get past that, it's not too far off from the double zeros. We'll be shedding a zero. And I do think it's possible. I think we'll consolidate a little over here is my initial thoughts. I do think the bottom is now looks to be in, right? Barring some crazy stuff going on. That 0005 really held strong throughout, multiple touches on it. And the feeling around Omi wasn't too good a couple weeks ago. But sentiment changes fast, right? We always talk about that. Sentiment changes fast. And I think that the price movement has to do with sentiment, and it has to do with MCP rolling out. It has to do with, the crypto XR event. That those live events always bring a wave of enthusiasm, right? As community members get together and there's a little more bullish sentiment. But you add to that MCP points actually going live in the overhaul weight system, and you get more bullish sentiment, right? And so people see things coming to fruition, and then they know, like, it's possible, right? They know that, all right, a big box got checked off. And so they can then in their minds anticipate other boxes getting checked off, right? VeVeVerse, etc. So I do think that the positive momentum will stick around this time, because if you just look at the calendar and what's coming, you've got the South by Southwest Music Festival. I believe that's middle of March, which is only 5 weeks from now. Okay, so you've got the South by Southwest Music Festival coming, and that's going to bring about more of community get-togethers and enthusiasm. But also Marvel is going to be there, right? And they've already released, I don't have it on hand, but they released that, I don't know, like a press release about their presence at South by Southwest in Texas, talking about the future of comic books, right? And talking about their partner, Veve. So that's going to bring about positive sentiment and enthusiasm. And you couple that with a prospective announcement on perhaps a music vertical, which only makes sense at South by Southwest, right? A huge music festival. It's a multi-day festival in Texas. And so the expectation would be that something's happening there in terms of the music vertical. And I know that OG Vault, FKA, formerly known as Veve Vault, has already mentioned that, right? That he talked to David Yu personally through whatever, and he mentioned that. And so that's 4.5 weeks away. So I anticipate that positive momentum to continue. Add to that the Apple Vision Pro narrative, and I'll give my overall thoughts on how Veve fits in right now in the present, because I've used it a couple times. But just the release of Apple Vision Pro, I think, reminds people of why we're here and why we fell in love with Veve in the first place, right? The AR integration with the biggest IP in the world. And in a best case scenario, right, you would be immersed in the Apple Vision Pro, be up in the VeVeVerse, be up in the homie Johnny Dunn's vault. What's up, Johnny Dunn in the house, right? And you would be, I'd get my special invite to Johnny's vault, and I would put these on, and now I'll be walking around in his vault. And that's not to say that that's imminent and that's here, but that's the vision, right? So the Apple Vision Pro release is a reminder of the vision that we have for this project. Couple that with MCP points finally being live, and now moving forward, heading into that Crypto XR event. Bottom line, long story short, I do see more positive sentiment for Omi. And then you couple that with the coming halving, which is now 70 days away, right? Where about 2 months off from the next halving event for Bitcoin. So right now, the setup is there. Okay, so short term, I do think that we could get rid of a zero in the next couple months. Maybe around maybe March. And so that's bullish. MCP, it's dope to be able to finally, they're not meaningless anymore. I would look at I wouldn't even bother to look at my MCP totals because, we waited a really long time for it. And, it kind of became a nothing burger, so to speak. But, now they count and now they matter. And now you can actually stake them and integrate them. And the way they've, integrated them in the wait list is cool. We see people have, gone for the Star Wars drop, which was a successful drop. And they wagered MCP points. And so I can anticipate, MCP is going to matter more when there are big releases. That's when it's going to get interesting. When you get, an FA of, let's say, Wolverine, or if you get, even though Yoda is not necessarily, FA, it'll be FA on Veve. You get a character like that. If you get something with, crazy manufactured scarcity, that's highly sought after. And then what is that going to do? How are people going to play the MCP game? And then once they're depleted, they'll be incentivized to collect again, right? Because for a while, people, you had your people collecting for MCP points, but then a lot of people gave up on that because they weren't getting results from it. But that changes, and that's already changed. So that's bullish. So short term, I think OMI's going to possibly shed a zero in the next month or so. I'll talk more also about my longer term perspective on OMI, which I've talked about pretty exhaustively over the last couple of months, and talk about has that shifted at all. Let me get back into the chat to see what you guys got to say. There's still way too many whales. The big wallets have to sell. This is 100% manipulation. So I don't think this is manipulation. I think that there is, when you have something that there's not a lot of volume on, you can, and I think it was Will Goes Meta put out a good tweet on all of the buys that push this price up on that first pump up. And so, I don't think it's manipulation. I do think that it's an authentic move up. However, I do agree with SoCal's first statement, still way too many whales. And longer term, I think you're going to feel the effects of that. When I talk about my thought process on if OMI will hit a new all-time high this cycle, a lot of it has to do with the distribution of the token and whales who are holding billions of tokens, right? And I expect to sell at key psychological levels. So I'll talk about that in a little bit. Jordan Riz in the house, finally almost caught the start of your stream. This close, buddy, but you're here early. Oh, Jordan bought another 20 mil OMI yesterday. Luis, so no, there's no new news on the VeVeVerse. That Fortnite's hella long, right? Waiting on VeVeVerse access for people. Last update was in November, where Dan said, he didn't want to be tied down to a date, but he said in a fortnight, which is 2 weeks, I learned, more people would get access to VeVeVerse. That didn't happen. They sent out invitations that were fake news and retracted them. So we're still waiting. And I think that's, these small wins, right? Getting MCP out is dope. And the new announcements that I anticipate to be forthcoming are dope. But that doesn't, they still have to move on these other big ticket items, right? And so we'll see when VeVeVerse comes out. But that would be dope also if you couple a larger VeVeVerse rollout. It's got to be soon, man. It's been 6 months. 6 months since August when that first rollout happened and people were crying on the Twitter spaces, right, that it was finally here. And so it would be dope if that rolled out in conjunction with South by Southwest or around the same time. And now you're really moving, right? And then you also get, come April, if we move into the next season, what is that, season 2? Are we in season 1 now of bronze tickets? If you get a cool crafting event around the bronze ticket, like window ending in April, right? Let's say it would be dope if it was like an OMI NFT with different rarities depending on how much OMI you staked. That would be dope. And that I can see that bringing excitement. And then just the fact that then you'll be able to use bronze tickets. And ultimately, though, finally using them as they were intended, right? Where you can buy them with OMI. So we'll see how long it all takes to come together, but it's nice to see pieces starting to come together. I think that's what people really want. We've said it a bunch of times. Deliverables are what matters. And you see how, the price reacts to it. This price pumped after MCP went live. So good stuff. Cristal Arbitrum. Let's see. Cavernous to spatial connector is intriguing. Yeah, and I haven't read enough about that. The main question remains utility for the OMI token. Can you elaborate on that subject? So utility for the OMI token would come in the form of OMI to NFT. Well, you've got some utility that matters, right? In that you can accrue MCP points that you can now spend by staking OMI. So that incentivizes you to stake OMI. The thing is, they need big drops. The big drops are a little few and far between these days, right? There was a time when, especially in the early days, it's only natural that you're going to get all these FAs. But, now it's like once every few months, you get like a big drop. They're going to need, in order to make me or, someone who's not really an avid collector. If you're an avid collector, you're incentivized, right? But if you're on the fringe, if you just want access to those big drops, you need more of them in order to incentivize people to lock up their money. So they're going to need, I think, they need more. They need to constantly onboard new licenses and new IP. And maybe you get something like Dragon Ball Z or anime, and that'll do it, right? That'll open some floodgates. Maybe a music IP that, if they do music right, that could be something. But they need big drops, right? Because you're not incentivized to lock up your OMI for dime a dozen comics and, not major FAs. In terms of the other utility coming, it would be OMI to NFT, which they reiterated is still part of the plan. The question, of course, is when. I would expect that to take some time. All right. Hopefully the ability to buy bronze tickets with OMI. And there's like OMI to gem and other things. Let's see what else we got. Ben Robinson, Jordan, another 20 mil. Yeah, Jordan's creeping back up there, man. You can't hold him down. He loves OMI too much. SoCal's living at a country club, now 4 courses. Very nice. Says you would like to see PSA graded cards as a vertical. It'd be interesting to get cards in there for sure. The hype of the comics, the graded comics. I thought that was a strange rollout for an announcement. I felt like people thought that we were getting graded comics in the app, and it ended up, being not like that. Let's see what else we got here. Johnny says he's going out to see SoCal. I'll talk about Apple Vision Pro and my first experiences with it. Picked it up 2 days ago. And it's pretty dope. The pass through, the ability to, if you have an Oculus, you'll know that there's no pass through, right? There's no AR integration. And the AR is really awesome. The mixed reality, I was playing Fruit Ninja and it was in my living room, so I could still see everything going on, all the people there, but I was interacting. That's dope. Apple does tech in a special way, right? They make it intuitive. This doesn't have like you're not holding anything like with the Oculus. You're using your fingers to move things. It integrates with the all Apple tech. And so it's got the whole ecosystem effect. Wade says MetaQuest 3 does have full color pass-through. All right, I didn't know that. I don't have the 3, I have the 2. But it's pretty incredible. And it's, like I said before, it would be dope to walk through everyone's, spot in the VeVeVerse. It would be dope to place my collectibles throughout my house and be able to walk up to them and see them and pin them there. Now, is that imminent? It's not, right? I mean, the app does. I have not checked out the app with Apple Vision Pro. I know that Sanjay was streaming with some of the guys on Randy's channel, and they were talking about it. I've not checked it out. I've not looked at the comics. But the app, while it's compatible, it wasn't built for, right, the Apple Vision Pro. It's not a fully compatible. So I would expect that to take some time. And by some time in VV terms, that might be years, right? But who knows? We'll see. So do I think it will have like a near-term huge impact on VV? I don't. I think it's more of the idea and the vision of where this is going and why we all got excited for this in the first place. And you can see the world kind of coming together, right? And Disney today announced their partnership with Fortnite. And I'll pull that up. So if you didn't see this, Disney invested $1.5 billion in Epic to create a persistent, open, and interoperable ecosystem that will bring together the Disney and Fortnite communities tied to Fortnite. This will also be powered by Unreal Engine. According to Disney, this will be a world-class games experience, and interoperating with Fortnite, the new persistent universe will offer a multitude of opportunities for consumers to play, watch, shop, and engage with content, characters, and stories from Disney, Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars, Avatar, and more. Players, gamers, and fans will be able to create their own stories and experiences, express their fandom in a distinctly Disney way, and share content with each other in ways that they love. So that was interesting. And haven't had time to fully digest that, or, that's a paragraph overview. But my initial thoughts are, one, it's good for the overall space, right? That it shows you that these big companies are moving the space forward and going all in on, metaverse and interoperability also, right? And so the other side of it, though, is when I think of Veve, you think about, everyone has the vision of what Veve is, right? And it being a one-stop shop for all the IP and metaverse and AR. It's a reminder that there's going to be a ton of competition. These companies are going to go fast and hard at this space, and they have a lot of money and a lot of resources. And Veve will be competing indirectly, right, for time and consumer money with all of these other projects. You can say, Veve and Fortnite, they're not the same. And, they're different. They're different, but they're the same in that they are competing for time and money. And so it's going to be interesting to watch how it plays out. Is it possible that Veve, Disney, NFTs, the Disney stuff, the Marvel stuff, the Star Wars stuff is interoperable? It's always a possibility. Do I expect it? I don't, right? I don't quite see it. Veve has maybe in a few years' time, Veve has, moves away from the walled garden ecosystem, but it's going to be interesting to watch how it plays out. And in my mind, it's a reminder of the competition in the space. And you might not see Fortnite as competition, all right? But it's all competition, right? Anything that's going after your time and money in this culture, right? In pop culture is competition. And it reminds me of Jeremy Padawar's tweet of, it's a sprint, not a marathon. And I think this is exactly what he meant, right? You can't take forever in getting things out because you've got all these other companies who are building, and they're building things that we're not even aware of, right? So this Disney Fortnite deal, I'm sure, has been in the works for a long time, and who knows what else Disney is working on, who else they're partnering with. Disney stuff is not unique to Veve, and it won't be, right? We see the Disney Pinnacle pins. This stuff's going to be all over the place. So how does Veve set themselves apart? And how do they, create a brand that lasts, that the test of, stands the test of time? And I think they do that by really bringing the whole vision together. But that vision, in my mind, includes, the whole VeVeVerse, obviously, but it also includes adhering to core principles of the space, and that, like, interoperability, ideally self-custody, and just following through on what they said they would do. So we're gonna see how it shakes out, and also what else Disney reveals about this partnership. But let me know what you think in the chat. I'm gonna jump back in to see what your thoughts are. Along with Disney's development in the Vision Pro and stake in Epic Games to develop a game, bodes well for the space. And yeah, absolutely, it does. Any time you get these companies making moves like this, it just legitimizes it and normalizes it more, right? And so that's dope. Sell Omi now. Justin's funny. Wasn't that supposed to be a new vertical of partnership announced? So I'm thinking that they said that there would be a new partnership in France. I'm thinking it was Betty Boop, which was announced right before it, because they said it was one with like a certain amount of collectors, and I think that Betty Boop would qualify. Kind of a letdown, right, in that regard, if that was it, and I think that was it. Omi is finally pumping. Time to dust off those Cavels. That's funny. And you're going to get those big predictions coming soon, man. What big drops are left? So there's a lot of Star Wars stuff, right? Still out there. There's Chewie and Han and this Darth Maul, right? Mandalorian stuff. Yoda. So you got a bunch of Star Wars stuff still to put out. Stormtroopers. Then you've got like Wolverine. I'm not sure what else or who else in terms of Marvel. There are a couple of key comics. I know Captain America #1, but Hitler's on that cover. I don't know if they're going to go there. So it'll be interesting. They definitely need more licenses. Banksy, I'm sure, will come. And we'll see how that's received. If nothing else, that's going to create buzz and get headlines. You know, there is an opportunity. I'm very curious to see how Veve does in this bull run, and if there is another Veve bull run. I think that I've talked about things that, you know, will get it there. One of them is, you know, just arbitrage, just more money coming into the space in a bull market. And people like me or, you know, Jordan's got a bunch of money in on the crypto side of things, much more than on the Veve side. If his bags pump, I'm sure he'd have no problem FOMOing into some collectibles and buying some more collectibles. I think you're going to see some money transfer over. Ideally, it would be with crypto pay-in so that people could, you know, buy things with crypto. But I don't see that happening. It's just going to be Omi, which is good for Omi. MetaQuest 3 does have, yes, I went through that. Matthew says, have we discussed the Disney just now? Yep. I'm assuming Veve isn't involved. Yeah, I'm also assuming Veve is not involved in that. I wouldn't expect them to be, you know, in there. I wouldn't expect Veve stuff to be interoperable. It will take Veve 3 years to implement a showroom VR with AVP. And this is also like, you know, when I think about the excitement of walking through Johnny Dunn's vault, the other side is how long is it going to take for them to implement that, right? They really need to step up their development. But we'll take it one step at a time. Let's see what goes on with the VeVeVerse when everyone has it out. Danny, do you think that since Cavernous, the platform Akomi is using for VeVeVerse, will be able to walk around in there like Ready Player One? You know what? When we were in, I want to say when I tried on the Oculus, was I able to walk around? I think I just looked around. I think it's possible, but I'm not sure. But Cavernous is compatible, to my knowledge. We'll see. I would think that you'd be able to walk around, but what do I know? Matter of time, the company I used to work for has created spatial anchored tags for digital assets. Veve just needs to lift their game. Yes, sir. Once the native app comes out and we can use the real Veve AR on the AVP, could you see yourself pinning collectibles and comics around the house? Yeah, that's going to be dope. You know, my thoughts on the people ask if the, you know, AVP is a game changer. And I would say right now, it's a taste of what a game changer it will be. Right now, it's a luxury item. It's still too bulky to be a game changer, right? It'll be a game changer when it's lightweight and seamless and you just throw it on. And then, yes, pinning things in your house will be dope, right? And that gives your stuff a little more utility. ReadyVerse Studio will be their biggest competition all those Warner Brothers IP to jumpstart. The thing is, like, the biggest competition may not even have been born yet, right? You're going to get all these people jumping into the space. And if you've got the backing of a company like Veve throwing $1.5 billion in, right? Forget about Epic's resources already. Disney dumping $1.5 billion in. There's going to be a lot of competition. Let's see what else. That's it. Johnny Dunn. That's exactly how we'll play it. I've been playing it in that space 5 years. Veve just needs to get the right people to implement. Yeah. The VeVeVerse is just a digital diorama. There's limited movement mechanics, no native animation, and no games or economy. Expected so much more. I mean, right. Well, I mean, at this time, we were supposed to have phase 4 with gamification. So I understand why you expected so much more. Again, goes back to it's a sprint, not a marathon comment. Wise words from Jeremy. They will need to get to that phase 4 sooner rather than later. It can't be 2026 and we're at phase 2.5. Let's see what happens. $10 Omi's on the way. LOL. Yeah. So now let's talk about all-time highs. And I've talked about this before. Now that Jordan mentions it. Give me 1 second. Let me pull up. I've talked about all-time highs and what I think would get it there. And a lot of people say last cycle, Omi went to $0.015 or whatever without, many of the partnerships they have now. I think that was without the Disney one, right? They got there without Disney and Star Wars and even Marvel. They got there without utility, without exchanges. And now this bull run, presumably, we're going to get all those things, right? If we get exchanges and we get full utility, then are we guaranteed an all-time high? And my thought process on Omi is be prepared for multiple outcomes. We could get new all-time highs next cycle, right? And I've talked about the possibilities of getting, breaking a penny. And let me see, getting all the way up to maybe, a 5 cent was my top price potential for Omi this cycle. But I think it's going to be difficult. And I think that you need to be prepared for multiple outcomes. And those outcomes include these prices right here. 0.008, 1 penny, or just right around the previous all-time high. Because yes, Omi is right now fundamentally stronger than it was last cycle when it hit that all-time high. But there's a difference between fundamentals and pumpamentals, right? We think we should, you would think that things are driven by fundamentals, but crypto is not a rational place, and it's not necessarily how it works. Crypto is about pumpamentals, and pumpamentals are, Omi had some of the best pumpamentals last cycle, stepping into an NFT narrative at the onset of the NFT craze. And so you had the birth of you have a paradigm shift with this new technology, NFTs, that were going crazy, and the narrative of being the top IP attached to it. It was a shiny new coin, right? That started at quad zero, whatever it, 5 zeros or whatever it did. And then you had the likes of, Logan Paul pumping it. Those are pumpamentals. And oftentimes, this is how crypto works. Crypto is driven by hype and speculation and narrative and story. And so while OMI will be fundamentally stronger than it was last cycle, be mindful of pumpamentals and be mindful of, the idea that it's now on its second cycle. It's not quite as sexy a coin as, all the newer stuff. The NFT narrative isn't brand new. It's not, it's that paradigm shift. That brand new paradigm shift isn't there. And you've got the bag holders who are going to be selling along the way, people who have been holding for a long time and waiting to sell. So you have all these things. And it's just to be mindful of those things. A lot of people ask me if, or they assume that I believe that, we're not getting to all-time highs now because I say these things, but I've shifted the way I think about this whole space. And, if you'd asked me 2 years ago, in my mind, I was more set on where I think things would, like, I didn't have a range. I didn't think in terms of ranges. I didn't think in terms of different possible outcomes. And I've learned that you need to be open to different outcomes, right? Because I wasn't open to the idea that OMI would go back to triple zeros. I thought that was too big of a psychological barrier to break through, right? 001, 0009 was, something that I didn't think that we'd see. And I was wrong, right? And over time, when you're wrong on things, or, it's an opportunity to learn. And what I've learned is don't get married to one outcome and, think about price potential. When you hear me talk about things now, I don't talk about price predictions. I talk about potential and different possible outcomes. Because if you're not prepared for different outcomes, there's a good chance you're going to get blindsided. And there's a good chance that, you end up bag holding, right? If you get married to this idea that we're definitely breaking through all-time highs. So yes, I think that OMI could break through all-time highs. I think that it's in a good sector to do it. I think that, NFTs will have a run again. Anytime you have all the partnerships that they have is bullish. And then, if Veve gets hot, it just drives the narrative of OMI, right? And I think that that's definitely a possibility. And then you tie in the pump effects from exchanges, etc. So I can see it getting to a new all-time high, but I can also see it, not getting there. And ultimately, time's going to tell. And my strategy is to layer out, right, the same way I layered in. I'm not trying to catch OMI. I'm not trying to sell the top or sell it all at the top next cycle. I'm looking to sell along the way at key psychological levels and just DCA out the same way I DCA'd in. Let me jump back into the chat. What do you think about, yeah, you know what? Let's put that up. SoCal. I think that VeVeVerse's data, and objectively speaking, is problematic for Veve, right? I mean, active users, and you have to take it with context. There were fewer drops in January than December, and that's going to affect the data. there were a few fewer drops, and there wasn't a big drop. And so it's going to, you have to take everything in context. However, it is a continued downtrend, right? Dating back from whenever the height was. I lose track of time now. There's been a continued downtrend in terms of active users. So active wallets were down almost 20%. New wallets were down 30%. That's not good. Market activity was down 15%. Again, 6 less drops in the VeVe store. Excuse me. So of course there would be less minters, right? 30% less minters. But they need to turn that around. How do they do that? I think they're trying to figure that out, right? They have different strategies. One is to expand to different territories like Asia. Another is to tackle fandoms. I think that will not bear much fruit. I think that maybe this whole, sector getting hot again, NFTs is the way to go. And for that, if I were them, I would really start to market OMI or talk more about the OMI token, because that is a natural conduit to VeVe. And I think that most people who got into VeVe found it through OMI. And now is the time to really start talking about and fleshing out OMI, and have people finding VeVe through it. But we're going to see they need new users, right? There's no doubt about it. People talk about the fact that they've hired a bunch of new people, and that's true, and that's great. VeVe is in a much better place than, obviously, Recur and Nifty, because they're dead and VeVe is alive. So it's good to see VeVe survive the bear market. It's good to see that VeVe still has a strong core community, but that community needs to grow rapidly. It needs to constantly grow, because they have, the way their whole ecosystem is built is there is a steady stream of drops. The drops don't stop, and they're not going to stop, right? So that universe of, it's getting saturated more and more, right? The ecosystem with collectibles. And so it's like an ever expanding universe. That's how I see it, right? Where there's just more and more collectibles dropping every week, every month. And the community, the users need to grow along with that, commensurate with that, whatever, in order for it to sustain itself and work over time and have these things retain some value, right? Because I think that a lot of people are drawn to this by money. And we can talk about collectors at heart all we want, and it's a collector's app. It's not here for, you're not here to make money. People, you shouldn't be here if you're here to make money. But there is an intrinsic connection between the value of these things and why people buy them. The first thing that we do when, there's first and foremost is a secondary market tied in, right? So that, tells you that these are here to buy and sell and trade. Second, there is a vault value, right? As soon as you go to your vault, your collectibles, there's a value on top. It's a measurement of how big your collection is, right? So anyone who says that it doesn't matter what these go for in the secondary market, that's nonsense. It absolutely matters. And people want to see them, if not, going up in value, at least retaining value. They have to, in order for the long term, for people to stick around. And so, things need to happen in order for that to happen, in terms of the supply demand ratio, and in terms of, I think, ultimately getting peer-to-peer purchases, which I've talked about before. But, having these things retain their value is going to go a long way to helping with user retention. But it's kind of like a cyclical thing, right? Wade says, summoning your inner Cavell. Jojo, Veve Collectibles will only have a bull market if OMI pumps first. We're going to see. It's going to be really interesting. I can't wait to watch how this story plays out. I think that OMI, it's a matter of what's OMI pumping, right? I mean, if OMI got up to half a penny, let's say OMI tapped out at 0006, 008. Is that considered pumping enough to pump the Veve market? That's a good 10x from here, right? 008 is a 10x. And I think OMI will do a 10x from here. And so it's going to ride the wave of crypto a bit. As long as they deliver on things, you're going to see more positive price action out of OMI. And then I do think you're going to get some arbitrage into the Veve system. We're going to see. VeVeVerse is going to help out with that. And this is why they need to move and get these things done. I would be buying stuff if I was in the VeVeVerse. Right? If I was in the VeVeVerse and I could visit Sanjay and whoever else is there and hang out, we can have watch parties and Twitter spaces in there. This community is tight-knit. They spend a lot of time conversing with each other, fighting with each other. And so increasing social engagement through something like the VeVeVerse will incentivize people to buy stuff. Right? I don't have a ton of collectibles right now. Right? I sold almost everything and bought Bitcoin at about $17,000. I unloaded all of my Veve stuff back in November of whatever year that was, 2022. And I just started buying a bit more earlier in the year, but I'm not really incentivized to buy. My money right now is better spent in crypto, right? In my mind, I can 10x, 20x, 100x every dollar spent. I'm very careful with how I spend every dollar. And it's all going to crypto, all my dispensable money. I would be more incentivized to buy some stuff on Veve if I could actually, do something with it in the VeVeVerse rather than just look at it in my phone. So Apple Vision Pro 15 going to be wild. Yeah, it's going to be crazy to think about where this thing goes. And it's going to happen. I mean, you think back to the first iPhone, the first iPod, and how far we've come. I can see a scenario I was telling my wife where you don't even need a TV because you just throw on glasses and you can have a movie theater in your house. When I'm in, I went into one of the best experiences I had so far. And I used the Apple Vision Pro, and the first night I spent 1 hour with it, but 45 minutes of it was spent setting it up. And then for like 15, 20 minutes, I messed around. Yesterday, I downloaded some apps. I played some games. I checked out the Disney app, and I streamed small portion of Far From Home, Spider-Man, and The Force Awakens. And I watched The Force Awakens on Tatooine, right? So they have this immersive environment, and you feel like you're in Tatooine, and there's a big screen. And it feels like you're in a movie theater. right? If it's like it is an immersive experience. Um, you're not going to need TVs possibly in 50, by the time Apple Vision Pro 15's out, you're going to throw on glasses and have, a huge screen in your house. And that's going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing to see how this thing transforms. But that to me so far is my one of my favorite things that I've seen inside the Apple Vision Pro is just being immersed inside of like what feels like a theater. I watched the Spider-Man movie in the Avengers Tower, and it was dope. What's good, Josh, in the house? SoCal says you can't walk around in the VeVeVerse. You only control a camera view perspective. Quantum computing at that scale is years away. Thank you for that. Johnny Dunn music in the VeVeVerse. Yeah, Johnny Dunn concert maybe in the VeVeVerse. I was talking to Rolex, and he bought I think he bought like a T-Pain concert. And it's like, one of those fully immersive 3D. You feel like you're there. So he went to the T-Pain concert last night. He said it was incredible. It's going to be dope. It's bulky still. You do feel the weight of it, specifically if you're using, so it comes with two straps. One is like the sleek looking cool strap, which is just more aesthetically pleasing. This one, it comes with this one also. This one distributes the weight better. And so you don't feel it sitting over here. And that's the issue with it. When you see all the memes of people like having diesel necks from wearing the Apple Vision Pro, it's because the weight, if you're wearing that, particularly that head strap in the back, the weight sits on your cheekbones. And you do feel it, right? It's a bit better with the overhead strap. And so, again, to me right now, it's more of a luxury item. Once they figure out a way to make it, seamless and small, and it's going to be quite incredible. Josh says circulating supply was half what it is now, though. All right, let's go back to some OMI talk. Yeah, circulating supply was half of what it is now. I'm not sure that really matters. I mean, it did get, I don't know if that really matters. I mean, that matters in terms of market cap, right? So I think that if the full supply was out at that time, it would just have been a higher market cap. I want to say it got to about a $2 billion market cap last cycle, which would have been $4 billion fully diluted. And so, to me, the main obstacle in the way of OMI hitting new all-time highs is going to be just sell pressure, right? People who bought up here, there are people who bought above this 0008. There are people who have break even at 005. And, I think the longer you hold your bags, the heavier they feel. And now think about if OMI is a late bloomer. And by that, I mean, let's say it really takes off after Bitcoin hits its all-time high. Let's say that happens November, and then OMI takes off, and it's January 2025, February 2025. How deep into this run are you going to be holding your bags? It's a consideration. After Bitcoin hits a new all-time high, it's, you're in the Wild West, and you don't know where the top is. You can't see it. You don't know where things are going. And so that's when I get risk off. As this thing progresses, I'm going to get increasingly risk off, and I'm going to be selling, right? Because I'm not going to be left bag holding. And that should be your mission also, right? Not to get left bag holding. And we're going to see, where this thing goes. I don't think that it goes to, crazy market caps like 30 billion or anything like that. Let's see. George from Cryptos RS sold all his loser dead coins last week and sold all his OMI. Did he mention that? Did he talk about OMI specifically? I know he did. I think he was partnered up with the team last cycle. So I think he was, paid to talk about OMI a bit. He's soured on it for sure. In the few times that I've heard him talk about it recently, he's been very dismissive. Not that it means anything. I don't think George knows very, he's good to follow for like the big, to hear talk about big stuff, big coins or whatever, but I don't hear him making a lot of great calls on smaller coins. I don't expect new all-time high. A penny will be the top, coming from Jojo. I think that when you talk in terms of probability, I would say it might be less likely that it hits new all-time high than more likely. And that's just, to me, based on history, right? And these are the top 100 coins. I talked about this in a stream a few weeks ago. These are the top 100 coins from last cycle that had already had a previous cycle. And all the red indicates they did not hit a new all-time high, right? The green is they did hit a new all-time high. And about 33% in the top 100. So these are successful coins. These are, the top coins last cycle. 33% hit a new all-time high. So, again, we're going to see. No one knows for sure. The key thing is to be open to all outcomes. Don't marry a single outcome and come up with an exit strategy. The ironic thing is that the majority of people here are going to be selling at certain points, at all different points, right? Unless you're really only holding this for utility. And the good news is that some will lock up, their 10 million and keep it locked up, but then the question also is another interesting thing to think about, right? Let's say OMI hits a penny. Let's go back. Well, let's say OMI goes back to a penny and a half, because I have it here. And you have 10 million staked. You have $150,000 now locked up in the Veve app. What type of utility would you need to justify locking up $150,000? What kind of perks would you need to justify locking up $150,000? It's a lot of money, right? And so it's really going to be interesting to watch it all play out. We'll see. SoCal says token supply was much smaller back then, and that all-time high was also manipulated. Yeah. This is true. And also a lot of people had their OMI locked up at the time and they couldn't get it out. And so, pumpamentals versus fundamentals. We can't always apply rational thought to the crypto market. This has all been done regarding Spatial Showroom. Tried multiple times to pitch to David and company with actual working concept over many years. They missed the boat. Incredibly frustrating. B-dubs, thank you for this. What price will you start layering out on OMI? Thanks for the super chat. Good question. So now it depends on how it moves. So if it continues to show strength, and let's say it burst through, let's say it burst through 0002, and now let's say Bitcoin has hit a new all-time high, and it's at like 0004, 0005. Bitcoin has hit a new all-time high, and we're officially in alt season, and things are going crazy. I would probably start taking profits at key psychological levels, right? Which would be 0006, 008. I might take a decent portion out of 008, right? Because that's a very big area of resistance. Not that I can't get over it. It absolutely can. But think about if you're after the Bitcoin, if you're after a Bitcoin all-time high, then you're in no man's land. And you kind of want to start just exiting the market. At least I do. I want to start securing, my gains and having cash in my hand rather than ride things down. So I think 008, a penny, and then just little by little over time. It's going to also, if at that time I think that, let's say 3 cents is the, like it's, if I'm convinced it's not going above like 3 cents, then I'll be a little more aggressive. 008, a penny, 006, and then can, hold a portion of it and sell off at, previous all-time high. And if it breaks all-time high, sell off at 2 cents, maybe 2.5 cents, 3 cents, and probably sell in like, depending on how much really depends on how much you have, but maybe in like 10% increments or something, 10 or 15% increments, and just sell a little over time. That's my strategy. Let me jump back up here. I can buy Bonk on Coinbase and not OMI. Yeah, so I think that's also, though, Bonk is clearly not, Bonk is not, it's decentralized. It's a meme coin. So they don't fear, Coinbase specifically, this isn't all on OMI at this point, right? Because Coinbase is getting sued. Coinbase is going to be very selective for what they list. And a coin like Bonk, isn't going to catch the SEC's attention. It's kind of like Doge, right? Now, OMI on other exchanges like Binance, etc., that stuff, I wouldn't expect OMI on Coinbase anytime soon. Not with like all the scrutiny on Coinbase right now. But, Binance, KuCoin, we'll see. I hope it happens. And this is the other thing that Justin here mentions. Bonk has no overhead. So, when they have money set aside, the foundation or whatever has money set aside, they're not paying for new IP. They're not paying to hire like tech guys. They have nothing to pay for. And so they can afford to their whole purpose of a coin like Bonk is to pump it. They can afford to pay whatever fees it costs to get on those major exchanges. Whereas a company like Omi and Veve have a bunch of expenses. But yeah, it would be very frustrating if during this cycle they don't get on major exchanges. I'm going to jump back up and down. Let me see. What's good, Pro Legendary in the house? I'm going to jump to this one. Do we actually think Omi can hit these predictions? Very hard to believe this nowadays. So it's crypto, and I can believe that it can hit a new all-time high. If you asked me, what do I lean towards? I lean more towards this 008 price, maybe a penny. That's what I lean towards. But I'm open to the idea of higher. All right. That's just because, like I said, of how I've, seen the crypto space work and move, right? And the likelihood of things. People who call for 10 times previous all-time high. Again, just look at second cycle coins. Of the top 100 last cycle, the only one did a 3x from its previous all-time high. That was Ethereum Cash, which did so off of a Kim Kardashian ETH Maxi tweet, and people mistakenly bought Ethereum Classic, not Cash, right? Ethereum Classic. And so, Kim tweeted about ETH Max, and people bought this. Aside from that, only one came close to a 3x. Waves. The rest of them, 100%, 100%, 100%, 25%, ADA, 200%. So, of the 22 coins in the top 100 that were quote unquote legacy coins, three of 22 did a 2x previous all-time highs. What is that? 10%. And these are good coins. XRP, Litecoin, Tron. These have stellar lumens. 10% did a 2x, right? That would put Omi at 3 cents. So I know people talk about, but this time we're going to have Omi NFT, we're going to have exchanges, we're going to have all these things. I don't think people understand the difference between fundamentals and pumpamentals in crypto. But we're going to see. Again, be open to multiple outcomes. It's not going to be easy to get to 3 cents, 5 cents, etc. But time is going to tell. How much Omi do David and Dan hold? I think 30 billion each. If Omi hits a penny, they would be worth 300 million each. Yeah. Be a lot of money. And I wouldn't blame them for selling at that point, right? Very frustrating if no exchanges. That's the truth. Yeah, it would be frustrating. 82 viewers, just them bowel that. Hit the like button. Thank you, Justin, for the reminder. Thanks, Brett. Appreciate you. Yes, become a channel member. For a cup of coffee a month. Thanks for the plug, SoCal. Pokemon and or Game Arcade, only way they hit 20 to 30 billion, in my opinion. That's a lot of money with this many tokens in circulation. Yeah, I think it's going to be super hard to hit those numbers. And look, it is true that there's going to be more money flooding into the space, right? And so we will see higher market caps. That's true. Keep in mind, more money flooded into the space last time also, right? And again, I should have that data somewhere. Is it here? No. I want to say the total market cap. Here it is. Yeah. So last cycle, the total market cap for crypto went to $3 trillion from 760 billion, right? So that's 2017 cycle. The whole space was worth $760 billion. 2021, $3 trillion total market cap, representing a 4x more money. So the argument that more money is coming into the system, so naturally coins are going to explode past previous all-time highs. That happened last cycle, right? Relative to the money from the previous cycle. And still, those legacy coins, 66% of the top 100 older coins still didn't hit a new all-time high, right? So I would expect more of the same. What actually occurred with the VeVeVerse delay? I think it's a matter of they have so many individual assets, and I think they have to do them individually, right? So all their collectibles have to be imported one at a time. And it's taking a long time. And in November, they said that they were down to a certain amount of assets, but hasn't happened. Jimbo Lee Lingo in the house, master. Jimbo Lee Lingo in the house. What's going on, buddy? Do you think we see big institutions coming in to buy up VV collectibles? I don't. I don't think so. I think big institutions are conservative. There are many things that have more history behind them. And I don't think so. VeVeVerse will underwhelm. We're going to see. I'm excited for the VeVeVerse. I've lost some excitement because it's taken so long for me to get access, but at the time I was excited. And when I think about it, I'm interested to see what it's like and to enhance the social experience. So I'm still optimistic on VeVeVerse. From hearing people talk about it, they say they like it. I'm wondering if it's a sticky platform. There's I forget who on Twitter, someone on X said that, without a lot of people in there, he finds himself using it less and he wants more people to be onboarded. It's going to be interesting. Is it a sticky experience that you're compelled to go into, or is it like, does it, wear off? We're going to see. Part of that might depend on how much you like building and arranging your stuff and how big of a collector you are. But I'm still optimistic on it. Yeah, and I would agree with Josh here. Full ownership's important. I wouldn't have six figures. I wouldn't feel comfortable having six figures in VV without full ownership of my stuff. Right? That's me. Just because, and the ability for someone to take your stuff away from you or tie it up for a certain period of time is scary. And that's the whole purpose of the technology, right? Is that you own it, it's yours. And also the idea that, like, if something happened to you, like, you pass it down to your kids. I think that's important. And it was a selling point. I do think they need to come through on this stuff because it was, something that was promised. Adam in the house, what's going on? JP, Epico 1000X would be legendary. New token. Yeah. So when I look at Epico, I can see it performing kind of like what Vemp did last cycle. And Vemp was a similar type of token, I think, to Epico. Similar looking type game. I haven't played them. But I want to say Vemp went up to 100 million last cycle. And I wouldn't be shocked if Epico did that, which would put it at more than 100x right now, not considering dilution. I don't know what the dilution of the token will be, but we'll see. I don't own Epico. More money this cycle, but a lot more projects. This is also correct. So people don't think about these things, right? There are many more projects. And the attention is drawn to new tokens. It's the way it works, right? When people, I would not consider buying Mana, Ape, Sand. Would you? Right? Think about that. Think about how you view other coins and apply that thinking to OMI. Not to say that OMI is that it's going to go up. Not to say that it's not a good it's a good investment. It's not to say that's not a good investment, but think about how other people think, right? And what are other people drawn to in crypto? People are going to ride OMI up. It's going to go up as everything goes up, and specifically if they hit their milestones. But the newer stuff is what people are drawn to. That's where the big gains are made. Can you tell me what WAGMI Games price will be at $1 billion market cap? Yeah, I have that, right? WAGMI. Where is it? Did I not do WAGMI? I must have done WAGMI. Hold on. Oh, man. Sorry, buddy. Can't find WAGMI. Give me a minute, man. I thought I did it. Yeah, sorry. I don't have it. I thought I had it. What's this? Yeah. Veve needs to implement a sell PW. So if someone takes your phone, yeah, for sure. It's a good point, Justin. SoCal, I'm up with Epico, still down on OMI, but still up on NFTs opportunity cost. Yeah. Well, I mean, if you bought anything last cycle though, and you held it, you'd most likely be down, right? So. Good luck on Epico, my friend. Hope it does 100x for you or more. Epico wasted too much resources on their other ecosystem, like board games, metaverse. Yeah. OMI needs an exchange to have access for the masses. For sure, I would like them to have more exchanges, and we'll see how it plays out. David said that he has applied to other exchanges. To international exchanges. Hopefully he remembers the DocuSign. But they do need exchanges. Jojo says Epico is garbage. I mean, Epico to me is not something that I hold or would hold. But, small market cap, less than $1 million. I think that, could do well. Veve is the exchange. And I think this is definitely where they're going. So the wording of that article they put out, more accessibility for the OMI token. I think that was specific. I'm sure that's Foster who wrote that. Foster's good with wording things. And that was worded in that way because I think that that's what they want, is to get you access to OMI in the web app, right? Which will be good in that it's easier to stake or easier to use within the ecosystem, right? Whenever that happens, that'll be good to just buy it from there rather than having to go through all the process to bridge from layer 1 to layer 2. But, to buy it there, and then when you want to sell it to bridge to layer 1, that's annoying. So I would only ever buy OMI on the web app if I wanted to, stake or use it, not to hodl it. Bitcoin just passed 45K, and good things happen when we're on a stream together. Let's check out the Bitcoin price. Dope. $44.5. Nice. 7-day chart on Bitcoin looking nice. And again, you're now 70 days from the halving. I'd expect Bitcoin to be range bound in those 70 days. And to me, now is the time to accumulate stuff that you like for the next run. Because after the halving, I think Bitcoin gradually increases in price and until it goes nuts, right? And then once it goes nuts, then the alts are going to go nuts. They're going to go crazier. Then Bitcoin's going to go crazy. Alts are going to go crazier. You're going to get a rate cut from the Fed, maybe in May or possibly later, but should be happening this year. And I think that'll be positive for markets also. And it's going to be fun. Have you looked at the token? No one cares about fundamentals. Correct. Way better tokenomics than OMI. That's for sure. That's what he's. So, yeah, people don't care about fundamentals is true, right? It's about pumpamentals, not fundamentals, which is why I think Epico can do well, right? But there are many, many coins out there that are going to do well. And, 10Xs, I don't think are going to be too hard to come by if you're buying the right things now. SoCal's bringing some fake news. It's not 85K. It's 84.5K. Ben says, if you were to enter crypto today with all the projects out and had great research resources, would you still invest in OMI? 2 years ago, the tokenomics had pumpamentals. Yeah, that's the thing, right? That's what I was getting at, Ben, is with all of the choices available to you, that's how you have to, that's, how I think. Starting fresh, I personally prefer to buy coins that have, $25 million market cap, $40 million market cap. And it's not a knock. That's not a knock on, OMI, but when I'm talking about, I'm here to make big gains, right? There's potential to make huge gains. And that's going to be in smaller coins. So GFAL, which has right now, I want to say like a $50 million market cap. Playable games right now has a $30 million market cap, right? So it's less than where it was when I made this chart. etc. Something like TET. Um, there are many, many coins out there. And again, it's like they're competing with with money. And the fundamentals of OMI coming together are great. And it's going to be great. It's going to be great for everyone who's been holding. It's going to help push the price. But keep in mind, outsiders don't really care, right? If you're not in the Veve ecosystem, it doesn't really matter to you, right? If I'm buying, let's say, MCADE, but I'm just buying it, I'm not really playing the games. I don't care about, the ecosystem. Oh, great. They have, you know, certain burning features now, whatever. Great. Right. I'm talking like hypothetically. To us, those things mean more, I think, than outside people who are just looking into what are they going to buy? What tokens are they going to buy and hold? And you're going to get people who jump on it and ride it up. And they're not going to really care about, OMI to NFT and all those other things that we care about. We care about them because we've been talking about them for 3 years. And fundamentally, long term, it'll make a difference, right? If they burn through supply, etc. But in terms of like this now 12 months, we're in a short-term time frame. OMI to NFT isn't burning through a big portion of token supply in the next year. This cycle. It's going to be negligible. It's going to be more symbolic, right, than anything. Pro Legendary about how they spend their money. Oh, talking about Epico. How difficult is it for you to do research on these tiny coins so you don't get rug pulled, or are they scammy? So, no, I think it's important that they have legitimate founders, right? You do research. And, for instance, I mean, it depends on like how low you go into like the crypto ecosystem. But something like Games for a Living, which is a small project, but the founders are like the guy from King mobile games and EA Sports. They're not scamming people. MCADE's founders are legit. I've spoken to them, Russ, MCADE, and they've been building the project for a while. Mask, another good token. Sorry, this is my portfolio. Here. See, I went over the coins I hold in my last video. And so if you do your research, like the founder of Hello was, he's a award-winning director or whatever, and he's been building this project for years. And they have big names attached to it. So you're less likely to get rugged, right? To answer the question. What's your take on the Disney Epic announcement? Yeah, so I talked about that earlier. Initial takes with limited information. It's good for the overall space to see Disney moving forth in this metaverse-like, what seems like a metaverse-like partnership with Fortnite. So that's dope. However, it also highlights to me the need for Veve to move faster and get things done because there's going to be a ton of competition, right? Big boys are going to go at this space hard and fast, and they have a ton of resources. And so it's good for the entire space, but highlights the need for, it highlights the competition that's coming and how Disney's going to be spread throughout multiple platforms and partner with a whole bunch of different places and companies. And so it'll be interesting to see what comes of it. Let's see what else we got here. Let me jump back up. I had skipped over some Still over 80 people here. Make sure you hit the like button. Season 3 OG says that's why special mints are important. That's how you separate yourself. Yep. Need to bring back lost customers. So yeah, the lost customers, I think that's always been low-hanging fruit for Veve. Is it's easier and cheaper to retain your customers than to get new ones. Right? And I've always said that the low-hanging fruit are their current customers who are dormant and the ones who left but are still lingering and waiting to see. And you get those people back with one, deliverables, two, improved communication. Whatever pissed them off, improve it, do better. And I think that they can do better on the communication side, like I've said before. But also just market. When I think about marketing, when the Apple Vision Pro dropped, I would have liked to see Veve even retweet it and talk about the future of AR. I don't think they did. Thought that would have been, that to me seemed like an easy win or an easy thing to highlight their AR capability and remind people of the vision, right? The other missed opportunity I saw in the last month or so was CoinGecko recently put out a video on I think like the future of NFTs, digital collectibles, and in it they highlighted Veve and the Lambo partnership. That went out to a lot of people. CoinGecko has a lot of followers. That just retweeting that, and Veve retweeting it. A bunch of people in the community did, but I would like to see them be more mindful of these things, these opportunities that they have to just, spread awareness, remind people of the AR and the vision of everything. Danny, which VPN do you use for trading on exchanges? I've tried a few, but they're very slow. So the one I use on my phone is PIA VPN. It's easy. I think it was $50 for a year. You get like a week free trial, and it's super easy. You set the location, you press the button, and you're there. PIA VPN. I've not noticed any issues in terms of it taking long or being slow. What would you say the ideal new customer is for Veve? It seems like most of the hardcore collectors are either here or not interested in Veve NFTs. Has to be someone who understands the space, right? So crypto native, NFT centric person with a love for pop culture. I think it's hard for non-crypto native people, non-NFT people to wrap their head around this or care about it or see a value proposition in it. I think there's much more barrier to entry. Yeah. That's why, most people who found Veve did so through Omi, and Veve is actually good at, turning people into collectors. Like Dr. Rolex, particularly wasn't a collector. He collects crazy amounts of physical stuff now. He gets like shipments of stuff to his house. And he told me on stream that he didn't even collect physical stuff. He didn't collect comics until Veve. And, you hear that story from a lot of people in the community that they didn't collect until Veve, and they found Veve through Omi. So I think it's important to target that group. But been on for an hour and 40. I want to thank you all for coming through and staying with me and spending time with me. Don't forget to hit the like button on your way out and subscribe to the channel. I want to thank you all again for coming through. and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.